I never thought in a million years that I would be making this video today. I'm I'm leaving Final Cut Pro. Yeah, it's no joke. What's up, boys and girls? My name is Vin Ginfield. I hope you're having a smashing day. If this is your first time to the channel, welcome. Fist bump? No? Okay, never mind. I'm keeping it a bit longer for, my subscribers. Okay. Anywho, today we're talking about video editing. This is probably not for some of you, but for some of you, this is very interesting stuff. So I've been a huge fan of Final Cut Pro 10. It's actually quite interesting. I remember when all the YouTubers didn't like Final Cut Pro when it got upgraded to Final Cut Pro 10 or X. They felt it was really bad. And then it got a lot of updates and it just got better and better. I always loved Final Cut Pro. I still, to this day, think it's a wonderful, really wonderful software. I just have one little issue with it. Just one tiny issue. And that is the fact that you basically need to have a Mac computer for it. And video editing, especially when you're editing on something like a Panasonic GH5 filming in 4K, 60 FPS, you need to have a really good computer. Now, the good news about Final Cut Pro is that you can actually get by with basically the cheapest models. Like you can buy the cheapest Mac Mini, and then you can just set in like proxy mode on Final Cut Pro, and you can edit 4K video, no problems, like whatsoever. So I always enjoyed Final Cut Pro because it was very intuitive. Like I remember the first time I sat in front of Final Cut Pro, I instantly knew everything I wanted to do. That's the whole idea about Apple. That's why they're so popular. Whether it's the iPhone, the Mac computer, it's always very simple and intuitive. People take this for granted, but it's actually a bigger deal than you think. Like I used to use, I've tested Premiere Pro, which I know, or at least it has always been said that Adobe Premiere Pro is the best video editing software. All the professionals use it, yada yada. But every single time I've tested it, I just go like, ugh, it's disgusting. Seriously, Adobe, I don't know who you're making your software for, but it's not for me. And that's been my reaction. This is not a diss to anyone who actually is a fan of Premiere Pro, but it was just very slow and just unintuitive. I never knew anything how to use it, where all the functions were, everything. I just had no idea. Zip. Final Cut Pro, I know every single time, wherever it is. Like from the first day, I always knew sort of how to figure things out. It's super intuitive, and I like that about software. I think every piece of software should be intuitive that way. It should be easy to use. It should not be complicated. So Final Cut Pro is super easy to figure out, and I've used it for many years. The last couple of years I haven't been doing a lot of editing because I've mostly been recording my videos in OBS Studio, and basically I've been recording while I'm editing, which is super time saving. But a web camera, you can see in some of my previous videos, the image quality is not that good, So video editing is something very special for me. It's something I do not take lightly. It has to be a very good experience. It needs to be fast. Otherwise, I'm not gonna do it. So Final Cut Pro is the best software I've ever used. I'm saying that, and I'm still saying that I'm ditching it for Davinci Resolve. Now, Davinci Resolve, it used to be just a color grading tool, and I've tested it, but it was kind of complicated, and I didn't use it that much because I thought, like, you know what, I'm not gonna download a different program just to color grade it, But with the latest Davinci Resolve versions, I'm on version 16 right now. It's a full-blown video editing software. And I was watching this video a couple of days ago by one of my favorite YouTubers on the planet, the Everything Man, Tim, super cool guy, makes beautiful videos, testing tech and all sort of stuff, super fun guy. he basically said that he's leaving Final Cut Pro for Davinci Resolve, and I was like, what? Like, no, what? And then I was like, maybe I should test it, because my biggest problem with Final Cut Pro is basically that you need a Mac. As I mentioned, it's good for in a way it's very good because you can get away editing big 4K video files on a less than fast MacBook computer, but it's also bad because it limits you. You actually have to have a Mac computer, and I sort of want to leave the Apple ecosystem, and Premiere Pro is a no-go, like never gonna happen. Hate Premiere Pro so much. But then the Everything Man, he tested it, and I was like, you know what, if this guy can do it, maybe I could at least try it. And I downloaded Davinci Resolve version 16, and I just watched a really quick tutorial on YouTube before. It was about 10 minutes long, just to get, the basics of it. Didn't take long to figure out, and I started using Davinci Resolve. I used Davinci Resolve to edit this video, and I used it to edit my podcast. And you know what? It's great. It's super intuitive, and I love the fact that I can use it on any computer. The only downside to Davinci Resolve, as I can tell right now, is that the exporting time is a bit slower than Final Cut Pro. It's not a very big deal, but it's noticeable at least. And the reason why it is slower is because it doesn't have a background renderer, as far as I know, as Final Cut Pro does, which makes everything go faster. It's sort of up and down, like at the same time you're sort of using up a lot of your CPU power for the background renderer, so it's not all good. But Davinci Resolve, the point is that it works, it is intuitive, it is actually easy to use. It's perhaps not as intuitive as Final Cut Pro, but it was very easy for me to jump from Final Cut Pro to Davinci Resolve. And I also like the fact that when I was installing the software, it asked me if you want to use the same layout, the keyboard layout as you do in Final Cut Pro or Premiere Pro or the Davinci Resolve. Obviously I picked Final Cut Pro, and it's super great because my mind, after editing for so many years, like I know what B is, what C is, what A is, and I want to keep using those fast buttons for it. So that was actually cool that Davinci Resolve adapts to what I work with. And another really cool fact about Davinci Resolve is that it's free. Like, there is a Pro version, and it costs about as much as Final Cut Pro. And there is no Premiere Pro stuff there, like you have to like pay every month or stuff like that. I hate those types of softwares like that. You have to pay every month. I don't like that at all. Subscription software, no thank you. If I want something, I want to be able to pay for it once and then have it for life. So no. So anyway, Davinci Resolve, super happy with it, super easy to color grade, very intuitive, love it, and I'm surprised that I'm making this video today. I actually never thought that I would be making a video saying that I'm leaving Final Cut Pro, because for years I've honestly felt that Final Cut Pro is like the best video editing software. No, the best software, period, because it is so super intuitive. But it's time for me to move on, unfortunately, and I really want to leave the Apple ecosystem, unfortunately, because these Apple devices are just way too expensive and the competition is just as good, if not better. So, it's time to leave Apple, and therefore Final Cut Pro was really the only thing that was sort of keeping me from fully leaving. But now I can just toss my iPhone. Well, no, okay, I'm not going to toss my iPhone, but at least it's a big part. Like, I don't need to buy a new MacBook Pro or a new iMac. Like, I can get a super fast PC for like half the price and twice the performance and use Davinci Resolve for it. Now, Davinci Resolve, again, the exporting time is a bit slower, yes, but the editing part, which is I think the most important part, it's actually very, very fluid, like especially if you compare it to Premiere Pro, which is like super laggy. But it's really nice. I do think Final Cut Pro is a bit more fluid, but again, I want to be able to, get a PC basically for my video editing. So I'm super happy. I never thought the day would happen, but I'm finally doing it. I'm basically ditching Final Cut Pro for Davinci Resolve, and I'm super happy about it, super excited. And let me know in the comment section below if you have done the switch already, if you're thinking about switching, if there's something about Davinci Resolve that you don't like, let me know, and I'll catch you in the next one. Take care.